a little bit about this transition where you decided to be like a nomad. I remember you saying that it was both a personal as well as a professional challenge that you took. Am I right in that?
More personal than professional because professionally, basically, I just decided I was done with banking. So, and I didn't know what I want to do next. So,
Okay.
I wanted to take that time to explore, meet people of different with different experiences, and just see what they're doing. But I also at that time, because I when I was in banking in Singapore, while I could travel wherever, it was always very limited. Like you have 3 weeks and that's it. I wanted I've always loved traveling. Like I've been traveling since I was 2, so I wanted to see what it would be like if I could travel for an extended period and not have a schedule and not have a plan. So and there are people who are very nomadic. I'm not so sure how that applies this time in the pandemic, but I wanted to see what it was like to live out of a suitcase and just moving from place to place. Um, Personal challenge in the sense like trying to figure out if I can do it on my own, like go somewhere where I didn't know anybody, find my tribe, um, and also just to get to know myself because if I'm always surrounded by people I know, my friends, I won't have time to focus on myself. And being a nomad, I spent a lot more time with myself. I feel very much at ease. So in some ways, like the pandemic has brought me back to like, oh, this is kind of like when I was traveling on my own, except I'm on my own, stuck in one place. And, you know, I go before I didn't have anyone to talk to because I couldn't speak the language. Now I didn't have to talk to because there's nobody here.
Correct, correct, correct. Good. But then where did storytelling begin in that all this discovery about your own self? How did this begin?
It started with also trying out comedy. So after I was done traveling around South America, I was exploring career options, non-banking, in San Francisco. And I went to see a comedy show, and I wasn't impressed with the female comedian. So I was getting more laughs from the audience than she did. So I thought, well, that's a bar for comedy. Then I might as well just do comedy. I'm prettier and I'm funnier. And that planted the seed in my head. And I go like, well, why not? I have time. What's stopping me from learning comedy? So I moved to New York City to go to comedy school and learn some improv. And through improv, I discovered the world of storytelling, where I think I did an improv show where we start off the show with a personal narrative about anything, and it was love. Like it, like sometimes where it feels like you're destined for it, like you get
Correct.
that certainty. So the day I told my first story on stage, and I've never told this story, I've never told stories even with rehearsals. Like it's always somebody else. I was thinking, these Americans, they like to overshare.
Yeah.
And I felt and then I was there on stage during a live show sharing one of my stories in Colombia, and it was this feeling where I tell my friends, like, I go, you might think I'm crazy, but like I felt like the skies opened up and the angels started singing. It was like um ecclesiastical, if that's the word I could choose, to like what I felt in that moment, like that joy, that rapture. I knew I was meant to be a storyteller. It was a certainty that I've never experienced. Like I was 100% sure that this is what I'm going to do next. And that kind of like made me stop exploring my other options and just pursue this one head on.
Beautiful. Now, what do you do? I know I see something about a story slam. I see you do corporate storytelling. What is happening at the moment now with as you as a storyteller?
So when I moved back to Singapore, it started first like I was just transiting and I was telling my friends what I was doing in the US. And one of my friends told me, why am I doing it there when I can make a bigger impact here?
Mhm.
Like, why am I working in the US helping startup founders how to be better communicators using storytelling when I can make a bigger impact here in Asia, giving confidence to my fellow Asians, like in terms of like, be a better communicator using storytelling, getting out of your head using improv. So when I came back here, nobody knew what I was trying to do because they thought storytelling is something about fairy tales and mythology. It's not about personal narratives. And I was looking for a scene to tell stories, but then there's no scene either. So I remember that was the time I was half US, half Singapore, and I would plan my trips in the US around shows so I could kind of feel my artistic side, and
Right.
then do some work, and then come to Singapore to do some business development. When my friend says like, well, what's stopping you from starting your own show in Singapore?
Correct.
So I started What's Your Story Slam, which is, um, it's like if I could take the best of all the shows I've been on, I've seen in the US, and make it my own. It was, I borrowed from every, so kind of like stealing like an art. I got inspired by by different shows, and I made my own blend. And that's what What's Your Story Slam is. And when I did my first show, I asked friends who I knew had good stories to tell their stories, and 5 minute stories, and I coach everyone, and the theme was risk. And I think, still looking back, I can't believe the amount of faith my friends had in me for sharing these, for doing it and agreeing to do it.
Right.
And also, and how it all came together, because for me, I was risking everything, because people in my personal and my professional life, everybody who knew me in Singapore came to watch the show.
Right.
And so if I failed, everybody would know.
Right.
And that was probably the biggest moment where I felt completely naked. And
Correct.
like people, and it's so scary to share something so personal, something so important to you, to people who know you, especially when people know you as something like, but you're a banker. Why are you doing this? Like,
Correct.
who are you to even go into this field where you have absolutely zero experience, other than you want to do it? And it's an incredible journey, and part of it is just trying, experimenting.
Right.
So and I tell my friends like, actually am not afraid to fail, I'm afraid to succeed, because when you succeed and keep succeeding, the moment you fail, it's a lot harder, it's a lot more painful.
Correct. Correct.